when I work with entrepreneurs that have a great product and that focus so much on perfecting their product, but don't focus on the sales, I see it as such an amazing opportunity because if you do have a great product, if you do have a great foundation, if you could just learn the basics of how to sell, how to generate demand, how to create buying conditions, you can have massive success. But you got to have that great product, that great vision first, and then you can learn how to sell on top of that. But you can't have one without the other.
Hey legends, Damien here, the creator and founder of Apex Unleashed. Really looking forward to you today, to seeing today's episode, and hopefully for you, it's the gateway for you finding out a little bit about yourself and how you can help you move forward with your goals, hopes and dreams.
Hey everybody, it's Damien Piotr here from Apex Unleashed, and today I'm with another very special guest, Adam Rosen. Mate, how are you?
Damien, great to chat with you. Great to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Mate, every time I talk to you, you're in a different place in the world. Last time we were talking in March, it was Hawaii, and now you're in Cyprus, man. Like, what a journey to be on.
Yeah, I feel very blessed to be able to do it. And I've been bouncing around. I was in Hawaii for a few months, and I went to New York for a bit to see my mother for about a week or two. I was in Austin, Texas for about a month and a half. And then, I came to the opposite side of the world to come to Cyprus for a few months.
It's a wonderful thing. And I always start, and I love to do this when it comes to talking to our guests. And I always find a quote that I love that really resonates with me. And I know this is very true because we're all in the lead generation business. We both run businesses that, lead generation is the key. It's our currency. Talks to about what do we do day one and how do we move life forward. And, the quote here is each win is important. Each win, big or small, is important. And the more you do the activity of identifying your daily wins, the more you will see greater and greater opportunities.
I love that because the two things that stick out to me is number one, my business partner and I always say, and I love entrepreneurs, I love startups, and I love sales. I'm a big sales focused entrepreneur. And one of the things my business partner always say, whether it's to each other or whenever I'm talking to an entrepreneur, a salesperson, a business person, it doesn't matter. Every sale should be celebrated, and every sale is a minor miracle in some ways. And everything should be celebrated, whether it's a big, massive, groundbreaking sale or if it's a small one, because everything can create momentum, and no matter if it's big or small. And then the second thing that comes to mind is the power of reflection, and that's something that I care deeply about and something that I try to do every single day, because we all have so much going on in our lives and we often don't realize all of the progress that we're making each and every day. So if we are able to reflect, it allows us to see what we've done well, what we can do better, and then allows us to do more of those things that we want to do well in the future to help us get more of those wins that you talked about in that quote. So I really love that quote.
It's the sale you make with yourself. And I talk to this about a lot of people and myself. And can't remember where I got it from, but it would have been somewhere in the world of YouTube, is that the sale you make to yourself every day is the first sale you need to have. And we really lose focus sometimes of we're excited when we start a business. When someone reaches out to you and you or your business partner and your team, hey, we want to start a business, we've got an idea, we're excited. Cool. So here's the method. Great. Now let's go execute. First roadblock. Where's the energy, right? Because you made the sale to yourself, but you got to keep recalibrating and making that sale again. And I love your business model of sales-focused entrepreneurs. Is that how many businesses are people going into now and trying to help their businesses grow? It's a good trend because most people start a business, in 2 years, that business doesn't work. We learned and understood now is that going business to business is really the way forward because it's about us building a bigger network together with each other and then helping each other go through the maze. So when we have those roadblocks, I suppose we're there to support each other. And that's where your businesses come in, hey?
Yeah, I think tech startup, that was my first business that I started right before I graduated from university. And our biggest problem that we had is we were sales-focused entrepreneurs. So we can get a lot of great customers. And we did that through cold email outreach, and we knew how to sell pretty well. So we were able to do that. And we had an interesting concept. But our problem, though, is we didn't have a great product. We didn't have a real sticky product, which in the SaaS world, in the tech world, if you don't have 95% plus retention, you're really going nowhere. So that was our biggest problem. But we were able to sell. That's what kept us alive for so long. And that was what allowed us to be acquired and for the company to still live on past today. But when I work with entrepreneurs that have a great product and that focus so much on perfecting their product, but don't focus on the sales, I see it as such an amazing opportunity because if you do have a great product, if you do have a great foundation, if you could just learn the basics of how to sell, how to generate demand, how to create buying conditions, you can have massive success. But you got to have that great product, that great vision first, and then you can learn how to sell on top of that. But you can't have one without the other.
It is good that you brought up about the acquisition of your business, is that you worked for 4, 5+ years on a business that you loved and enjoyed. And it's a great opportunity when someone comes to you and goes, we want to make a sale to you. We want the product you've got, and we want to make sure we're a part of it. And then you can sort of have that business exit in a sense of like, that's a job well done. Because not every business, this is what people don't understand, not every business you start is one you build and you keep. It's one that you sell to someone else and you go off on your other endeavors. And I think it's important that people understand the difference, that strategically you might have loved to do that at the start, but it evolves, right? So when you were acquired and you had to start a new project, it must have been, I suppose, important to identify like letting go and having that awareness of like, this is good that someone's reaching out to me.
One of my biggest beefs with the startup world, to your point, is I feel like it's over glamorized, where a lot of times startups and entrepreneurs, it's everything is peaches and roses. Everything is good. Everything's going great. And everything is kind of fluffed up a little bit, right? Where we pretend like things are maybe better than they are. And we don't share the real truth of that startup journey, which any startup journey is filled with a bunch of just bumps, yes, highs, but many, many lows. And it is really about getting hit in the face. And can you continue to get back up during every time that, you are getting hit in the face? And the reason why I bring that up is because, yes, we were acquired, but sometimes people assume when I say acquired that, I moved out to Hawaii, which I guess technically I did. Assume I moved out there at 27, was retired, and had a my time in my hand every day. And that was not the reality. We were acquired, yes, but it wasn't a big, fancy, glamorous exit. It was more about how do we get our investors as much money back as possible? How do we make sure our students end up in a good place, which was part of our that our business can live on and continue growing past us. So it wasn't some glamorous exit, but to your point though, Damien, that was a big thing for us, was because we didn't want to sell the company. That was not, I thought I was going to do it forever, at points in the company. So having to look myself in the mirror in that harsh reality of no, we have to move on from this. That was a tough turning point. But for me, I'm always somebody once it's done, whether it's a personal relationship or professional relationship or anything, then I'm able to move forward. It's about just making that decision that, okay, here's what I'm focusing on now. Now let's accomplish this task and move on. But that's when I kind of start to remove the emotion from it.
Yeah. And I suppose it comes to the taboo question that people don't talk about, is that how hard is it to find business partners that you trust?
It's one of the greatest blessings that I have. And that's where I am right now in Cyprus with my business partner. We're able to bunker down and really focus. And we have such an amazing relationship. We've turned into brothers, best friends. We are just good friends now, as well as business partners. But the reason why is because we went through, at least startup hell. There was a time we technically had 5 co-founders. It ended with just me and him. So as you can imagine, what probably happened with the other 3, it wasn't necessarily the best exit. They're all great people. We still have good relationships, but it just wasn't the right fit. But my business partner and I, we went through a lot together, and there was times where I could have ran and said, hey, good luck, Godspeed. I'm moving on to something a little bit easier. He could have done the exact same thing. Neither of us did it. And because we both face things head on, because we both have that trust, we have this great relationship now. But I hear so many horror stories of entrepreneurs and startups that don't have that same, good faith that we have.
I giggle a little bit because you're in the cold email outreach specialty. That's the niche, right? People don't want to pick up the phone and call a business. They want to send a DM in LinkedIn or Instagram. They want someone to make the introduction on their behalf. They essentially want everyone to get their calendar filled with discovery calls, but have no relationship or no understanding about who you are and what you do when you run them through what your offer is. Like, relationships in business are everything, but no one knows really how to start them unless they're educated and they see it. What was it like for you to start seeing these relationships being and introducing them? Because I would imagine that's something you thrive in now.
As you said, relationships in not just business, but in life is everything. And without trust, no relationship can be built. And again, whether it's personal, professional, anything, trust has to be there. And one of my mentors, he would always share with me, he said, Adam, it takes a lifetime to build your reputation, but just a moment to lose it. And one of the reasons I think I've been able to create such great relationships with great people in the business world is because, hopefully they see it that, what I say is what I mean, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I accomplish what I'm saying. But because of that, through cold, we always did cold email, with my tech startup, that's how we got really all of our customers was through cold email. And a lot of good friends that I have now came from cold email. One of my, best friends now, a really good friend, he lives in New York City. He's actually moving to Austin now, but he was in Austin for a weekend. And, we got together. We've been good friends now for 6-7 years. He was one of our early customers in the tech startup, and we just became good friends. But how it started was I sent him a cold email. We had a 30-minute sales call. There was no love. It was just question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. I flew out to Chicago where he was living at the time. We had a meeting. He became a client. And then over time, we became really good friends. But it all started through a cold email where we did not know each other at all. And just the more you're able to meet good people that are in alignment with your values and the way you see the world, you're going to create these great relationships. But don't try to force it. Don't be sleazy. All these basic things that we all know. But I think sometimes in business, we try to force things to try to force that relationship where just be yourself and be trustworthy, and those relationships will happen.
And it is true, is that trust and honesty piece is really important, is that I'm sure there's potential clients that go, look, this is my budget. This is what I can afford at the moment until I'm generating more income. What can you do for me? Is that they're being honest and trusting that the information that they're giving you is something that you can work on. Like, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. But more importantly, this is who I can actually help you with. And this is where we can sort of move things forward for you as well. In the sales world, dealing with people with limited budgets for the scope and the business that you have, how do you handle that? Because I'm sure, not everyone has unlimited budgets. We all start somewhere. What's your advice to people that are really worried about reaching out to services where they're worried that they're not going to have the budget that they need to make it work?
It's a great question for whether it's for my business or any business. Like right now, the business that I'm in, it's a must have. Whether you do it with us, you do it yourself, you hire it internally, or you hire somebody else to do it. Everybody needs more sales appointments. You need to generate more sales. I don't care what business you're in, you need that. So we're lucky we're in a must-have business. We used to, frankly, be in a nice-to-have business. It's a little harder to make that conversion when it's a nice-to-have, but you can still do it. So one of the things that we do, and my business partner spent, about 2 days really digging into this, was creating an ROI calculator to really get down to the nuts and bolts to show, hey, here are the different options. If you do this yourself, here's what it's going to look like pricing wise. If you work with us, here's what it's going to look like pricing wise. And we have this formula that we created that shows here are all the different scenarios, and here's what picture that's going to paint. Here are all the different scenarios with us, and here's the picture that's going to paint. And doing it in a way where it's not trying to be incredibly biased for us. We're actually being very conservative and almost giving the company maybe more credit than they should have to show, hey, here's the reality. You'll make X doing it this way. You'll make Y doing it this way. And hopefully we're able to prove that you'll actually make more money. You'll make more profit by working with somebody like us. And then having that knowledge, whether I ever use that on a sales call, it almost doesn't even matter. But it gives me the confidence going into a sales meeting knowing, hey, they are going to be better off working with us.
Yeah.
And just having that confidence and that feeling goes a long way. And then if they do say, hey, Adam, break this thing down for me. It's okay, great. Let's get nerdy. Let's go through this.
Yeah. And the analytics isn't really difficult to sort of go through. It's like, well, the question isn't using your funds available. It's like, are you going to reinvest into the business once you make some money? Or are you just going to see a quick win and move on and hope to find a new shiny object? Because you do have to, bunker down. And like the quote says, is that, the greater opportunities turn up, the wins will come. And it is that, trust piece, is that the people that spend the most in marketing, as a general rule, will get a better return on investment because they're spending the money for an outcome. It's not just for, I'll just do it. Because that's why we have Instagram. So you can go on Instagram, take good photos, and people can like and share your content, but that's not really going to make you money. That's going to make you feel better, right? So there's a forum for everyone is my point.
I love what you're saying too, because to dive even deeper into that, part of the reason why when you invest more marketing dollars, you're going to make more money and even make more profit. That's really the goal for most businesses, unless you're a high-tech startup that, it says red is the new black. Most of our companies out there are focused on growing our profit, growing our margins. And one of the reasons why what you're saying is so true is because the more at-bats you get, the more learning that you get. If we just think of ourselves as almost like a human AI, it's like every sales meeting you get on, even if you don't convert the sale, even if you don't do a good job, even if you use the wrong words or you're not able to present the value in a clear way, the value of getting on that sales call, even if you mess it up, is that next sales call. Hopefully you'll be able to right those wrongs and you'll know, don't do this. It's like if you're playing a sport and, let's say you're a pitcher and, in baseball, right? And you face his batter in the first inning, you throw it low and in, he hits a home run, 450 feet out of the park. Next time he comes up, I'm not throwing a pitch low and in. I'm going, up and away, wherever it is, because I know that I got burned by going low and in. But you only get that opportunity to learn that by, either studying the tape, knowing what you should be doing, knowing that you should throw it up and away, or by throwing that pitch that he blasts 450 yards, 450 feet, I should say, outside the park. So every sales meeting is still an opportunity to learn and grow. And the more at-bats you get through marketing or through other mechanisms, the more you get to learn, grow, so that maybe your first 10 calls, you go 0 for 10, but maybe your next 10 calls, you go 1 for 10. Maybe your next 10 calls after that, you go 3 for 10. So as long as we're learning and growing, those at-bats will add so much value.
Well, it's also tendencies. Baseball's great on analytics and tendencies is that you can challenge their strength, because you're doubling down, right? Because it's not expected. Is that if people know your strengths, particularly in that sport, you tend to know what to stay away from the danger zone, right? And I guess for us, the danger zone in business, marketing, whatever it is you want to call it, is that people always want to talk about investment, but there's not a great deal of the population that are willing to invest in themselves as a person and give themselves permission to be like, I am worthy of this. Grant Cardone talked about my goals weren't big enough. It is just as hard to make $2 million as it is to make $200 million in his opinion. Just his dreams weren't big enough because he was guilty of working hard, but until he had bigger goals, he didn't make big money. And that's the thing, is that you have to give yourself the ability to be like, I can turn this into whatever I want it to be, but I have to give myself the opportunity to invest in myself to say that I'm worth it. Because I guarantee you've come across people that if they believed in themselves as much as the product that you saw the potential in, the growth of their business and themselves would just be something you just wouldn't imagine.
You're an athlete, and going back to the sports example, you've probably been with a lot of athletes and played with a lot of athletes, played against a lot of athletes, hung out with them that have insane talent, maybe more talent than you. Yep. But because of what's in between their ears, they're not able to get it to the next level. They had every reason then where they should have been able to get it to the next level based on talent alone, size, all those things that are important to being a great athlete. But if you don't have what it takes in here, it just doesn't matter.
And it's always easy to see those people. It's just like it's winter in Australia at the moment. And it's, we get to under 10 degrees and everyone's like, I'm not doing it. No one knows that you went to the gym today or not. You did. You don't look different today than what you did yesterday if you went to the gym. But you know that you told yourself and you gave yourself a promise that I'm going to do this today, and you didn't. And the opposite to the quote is that if you don't have those daily wins stacked for you every day, the opposite is true. And that momentum that you lose from those little things you don't do is what makes the difference. So I really want to, focus in on email outreach. Why do you think people are more responsive to that now? Because we've got all this AI and automation that you can just spam people and send a bunch of people above a bunch of different information. Why is the process you use different?
Yeah. So first I want to share too why cold email typically doesn't work. Because it'll go into why I think what we're doing is a little bit special. So number one, most people just don't know how to write a good email. We all get our emails every single day where it's long, it's not focused on us, it's not clear, there's no clear call to action, and it just feels like spam, and it annoys us because we're like, why the hell are you sending this to me? Why are you sending it to me in this way, et cetera, et cetera. So for us, our method is always with everything business related is how do we get to the point as short and sweet as possible? How do we focus on clarity? So for us, our emails are very simple. So the subject line is very clear. If we're talking about, like for me, if I reach out now on behalf of my company to get more sales appointments for myself, I say, hey, question regarding more sales appointments. That's something that I would put in the subject line. Then right in the body of the email, I get right to the point. I don't start with, hi, I hope all is well, or hi, I hope you and your family are doing okay during COVID, or, hi, I hope this email reaches you well. All that stuff, like you might mean well by doing it, but in a cold email, you are wasting such valuable real estate. Show you care about me by getting right to the point. Because if you get right to the point, then I'll respect it, because if it is something I'm looking for, I'll keep reading. If it's not, I'll either say, hey, stop reaching out, unsubscribe, or I'll just delete it. But get right to the point. So for us, it's always, what's the purpose of this email? What is the purpose in one sentence? That's it. Next line. Every sentence has its own line. No bulky paragraphs. So first, it's the purpose. Second, it's the problem. What is the problem that we solve? Third, it's the solution. How are we the solution? Fourth, it's the social proof. I love selling based off of social proof. Nobody wants to be the first to buy something. What do I mean by social proof? Here are the logos that we work with. We work with Bank of America, Amazon, AT&T, whatever those big logos are that'll spark someone's attention. Or, hey, I've been in this publication, this publication, this publication. So What's the social proof? And then finally, call to action. How many emails do we get where it's like, what do you even want me to do with this email? Do I reply to it? Do I book a call? Do I buy something? Do I click on a link? What do you want me to do? So always a simple, clear call to action, which for us is almost always, hey, do you have 15 minutes to hop on a phone call about this? Something very simple, best wishes, best, however you want to finish it off, your name. But something very simple. And then the final thing I'll say on this before I really get into the most important part, or almost the most important part.
Of course.
It has to be targeted. Like the great thing about cold email, which is not the case with most other marketing mechanisms, whether it's Instagram ads or Facebook ads. Yes, you can get targeted. I mean, any social media ads, you can get targeted, but depending on what you do, you might not be able to get all that targeted in general if you're in real estate, banking, etc. So you have the opportunity to get crystal clear targeting with your emails. If I want to reach out to Fortune 500 companies, chief people officers, you can get directly to those folks. So with that knowledge, if you're just reaching out to them, you better know who they are and what problems they're facing so that you can communicate a message that'll resonate with them.
100%. And, business to business is where it's at, is that they're in business to find more business and you're in business to find them business. It just works really well and it really helps. And, like you were going to say is that, the opposite to why things don't work, why do things work from your end? How do we actually fill our calendars and our discovery calls where we're like, oh my God, I cannot fit all these people in?
That's the goal for any business. And to your point, because it is so important, it's like the person you're reaching out to should want to talk to you. And if you think that they don't want to talk to you, that means you don't believe in your product or service or offering. So what the hell are you even doing? I talk to entrepreneurs all the time. I coach entrepreneurs virtually through an amazing company called Eureka, Ureka. I highly recommend any entrepreneurs check that out. Amazing resource for small business owners. But I share with them all the time, like, if you really believe in what you do, if you really believe that, your offering is going to help people and going to add value, then you are being selfish if you don't reach out to people. If you don't try to get on the phone with people, because if you believe what you do is great, you should want to tell as many people as possible so they can benefit from your offering. So if you think you're annoying people, or if you think that they don't want to hear from you, or if you think they're not going to want to talk to you, or you think they're not going to want to buy from you, then man, you either need to change what you're doing or just stop what you're doing. Because if you don't believe in it, why would anybody else believe in it?
And it's true is that in COVID, it's like if you're not going to do it and you're not going to have a solution to their problem, and let's face it, complex problems that you solve result in money in your bank account. And no one wants an empty bank account for the problems they didn't solve. Everyone wants to get something for doing something. It's called contribution. It really resonates. It's that COVID is the equalizer. That you had businesses that were shut down, that were closed, that were still buying software, that were still buying things, that were still needing to do things in business because they knew that what was happening in the background while they had this downturn is that when things opened, they had to be ready. They couldn't wait to be reactive. And because we're so active now in a world where it's just like there's all these different things happening, You just have to be prepared. So if you're prepared to be like, look, I just want to give you the opportunity to make your business better, you're right, your conversion rate's not going to be your issue. It's providing the service to those people because they actually believe in the method that you're giving, and now you actually have to deliver something, which leads me to the most contentious part of business, is that salespeople are really good at being charismatic and leading a conversation and offering, this is what we do. But it's the reputation you spoke about and the deliverables of how do we do that. What's one thing that you know as yourself that you pride yourself on to be like, this is the number one thing that I pride myself on and my reputation? What's the one skill or method that you do that you're like, I love this about our business and I love providing?
Yeah, for us, our biggest problem with my tech startup was, frankly, we probably would overpromise and underdeliver just based off of results and based off of retention. And it's a world I never want to be in again. We're very lucky that our retention numbers have not just been 100%, where everybody's renewed since we started now a little bit over a year ago, but they're paying us more money over time because we're providing more value. And part of the reason for that is we do that. This was one of the key things, is under promise and over deliver. Set the expectations at a level that you feel good about and the customer feels good about, but you also know you're going to hit. Because if you do that, your life as a business is going to be so much fun. So that's the big thing for me, is how do we set realistic expectations that we feel good about and that the customer is in alignment with, where, hey, if we hit this goal, we're happy.
Yeah. The business metric now is like, if you can 3 to 5 times X your investment as a business, you should be really, really happy that once you go through all your expenses, that's good return on investment. I would imagine your business model allows for a bit better return than that. But as a basis, guys come in offering a 3 to 5%, like 3 to 5 times return on what you're doing. So if you put in 10, I want to hope to get you 50, knowing full well that if you do all the things and everything falls into line, and the harder you work, the more lucky you get, you might get them 65, 70. That's what we're talking about here, aren't we? It's just that little bit extra that makes people go, wow, we really didn't expect that. We were hoping for this, and being at the top end of things, that builds reputation, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And then life isn't perfect. We're not robots. Everything that we hope to accomplish isn't always going to work out. So when stuff like that happens, what do? Do you face it head on and you take ownership and you try to figure out solutions and you're honest with the person? Or do you try to be manipulative? Do you try to deceive the numbers? Do you hide? Do you point the blame somewhere else? If you take the responsibility, at least from what I've seen, and we've made many mistakes in the past. We didn't make our investors as much money as we lost them actually money. So not that we didn't make them as much money, we lost them money. We were not as successful as we wanted to be. We lost customers, some customers that gave us a lot of money. We were not able to get the results that we all wanted for them. Those were a lot of big negatives. But the reason why we have great relationships to this day, still with our investors, with previous customers that didn't even work out, was because when stuff happened, we didn't run and hide. We didn't try to point the blame. We took the ownership, and they knew that we were working our asses off to make sure that we could be successful for them. And that's one thing too, where, hey, if things don't work out, take ownership. Don't run and hide. If you're honest and transparent with somebody, they're going to accept it. Again, business related or personal related, the more we could just take the onus, take the responsibility, and try to find solutions to that problem versus running, the more people will give us leash and give us a second chance if things don't work out.
I couldn't agree more. Is that I want to get you 100. This month I got you 20. I'm going to try and make sure I bridge the gap next month. And this is why we didn't get that, but this is what we're going to do to bridge that. And if they see progression, they want to see effort, right? And they just want to see honesty. Is that you're right. There's not very many people that are like happy to lose money, but there's far less people that are happy to be told that, oh, well, it's your fault. You should have done something else. It's like, well, that's never going to really, I suppose, build that trust, and respect. Because if you catch that person on the wrong day and they go tell their network very quickly, you've lost a whole group of connections over something that could be easily resolved. And that's the difference really in good business now, isn't it?
100%. And it goes with everything, not just customers, personal relationships, whatever, but also employees. Like that's one of the things I say to our employees is, if you make a mistake, just tell me. We can work through it. It's okay. We're humans. We all make mistakes. Now, do I want you making that same mistake 2, 5, 10 times? No, absolutely not. But if you make a mistake and you tell me, we can figure out a solution. We got to have that communication. Now, if you make a mistake and you deceive me or lie to me, that we can't come back from.
Yeah.
So if
Great.
we're honest with each other and we're straightforward, we can always figure that out, or almost always figure that out. We'll always find a good solution, whether that's even not working together or working together and figuring out a better way to do things. But when there's lying and deceiving, once you lose that trust, again, in any relationship, if you lose trust, it's over.
And these values that you live off in your business and your personal life, where does that come from for you? Is that just learned life experience? Like, you know what it's like to treat someone well and you know what it feels like. So you're like, why wouldn't I give that to someone else? Or there's something more deep ingrained that you go, this is why my values are important to me, because I have been deceived and people have said and done the wrong thing. And I know how that feels. And I just don't want to do that to someone else.
I'm not saying you were saying I'm perfect by any stretch, but I have many faults. And every single day, I make mistakes, and I hopefully am trying to learn from them so I can be a better person today or tomorrow than I was today, and a better person than I was yesterday. But definitely every day is a learning experience for me. But I'd give my parents all the credit. They taught me great core values at an early age. I remember when I was probably, 5 or 6 years old, I was in a shoe store with my mom and my siblings, and I wanted a piece of chocolate. My mom said, no, you're not getting that chocolate, Adam. So I took that chocolate, put it in my pocket. And on the car ride home, I was like, Mom, you bought me this chocolate, right? And she's like, she was not very happy with me.
Yeah.
So when we got back to the house, she said, Adam, I'm calling the shoe store. She called the shoe store, put me on the phone, made me apologize to them. And then she drove me right back there to make sure I returned that chocolate. And things like that. I was just very blessed to have, a mother and a father that loved myself and my siblings very deeply, and also instilled good core values into us. And then, today I'm very lucky to surround myself with amazing people, my business partner, great friends and mentors. And then I take a responsibility with my siblings and my little sister. She's like a little mini me. She's an entrepreneur now.
Awesome.
She's actually one of our clients. She does a lot of traveling with me now too. We're best friends. Take a lot of responsibility too, where I need to be someone that she can look up to, and I need to be a better person each and every day. So those are things that I take very seriously. And again, I make mistakes every day and things I'm not proud of, but I hope to become a better person. And I give my family, friends, and people around me that are just amazing people a lot of credit for it. I would say one of my favorite quotes is by Jim Rohn. One of the things he said was, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And, really what he means by that, of course, is if you're spending time with great people, you'll naturally get pulled up. If you spend time with people that aren't doing the right things, you're naturally going to get brought down. So, I feel blessed to be surrounded by or talking with and in the circle with some really amazing people that are doing great things professionally, but more importantly, are just great human beings that I learn from each and every day.
When you're around good people for long enough and you realize and you look back on where you've come and the distance you've come, and you can reflect on that, you're like, wow, the environment I have is amazing now. And it should always have deep gratitude for it. And it sounds like, where can our listeners find you and your business partners online? And what's the best method to get in contact with you?
Yeah. So if you want to check out what we're doing with email outreach company, you can go to eocworks.com. If you want to email me, you can email me at adam@eocworks.com. In terms of social media, I'm most active on Instagram, and you could just find me at Adam I. Rosen. And then on LinkedIn, I wouldn't say I'm super active there, but it's just /Adam I. Rosen there as well. So feel free to contact me anywhere, but email or Instagram is probably the best way to contact and find me.
Awesome. Look, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the beautiful sunshine over in Cyprus.
No, thank you so much, Damien. Always great to chat with you, and love the work that you're doing. So I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, man. Chat soon.
Thank you so much for coming to today's episode. I always talk to people about my little journal, and this is the one I've got. It's not my first one, but it really is about your thoughts and actions become really important when you write them down. So don't forget to do those daily habits. They make all the difference. Please like and subscribe to all our channels. We are here to create and share content with you that helps you move forward in your journey as well, and we'd love to hear about your success stories.